April 4th, 2025, Saturn in Pisces sextiles Uranus in Taurus at 9:21 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time at about 25 degrees. Now, and then just a few hours later, Mars from Cancer is going to trine Saturn and sextile Uranus. Talk about supercharging the energy there. And then a few days later, Venus, this is where our double date comes in. Here comes Venus. She's going to trine Mars on April 6th, conjunct Saturn on the 7th, and sextile Uranus on the 8th. Sound kind of familiar? And then with all this going on, just for fun, let's just throw in on April 7th, Mercury goes direct. Okay, now back to our double date here. So we've got these two energies going on here, and we got one that's pretty conservative and, you know, determined and focused, and we've got one that's real like, oh, let's go on an adventure, let's do this, let's do that, that kind of thing. And we're trying to balance this, and you'll see this coming out on different levels. But what's really nice is that we've got this sextile energy, which is opportunities, all that kind of stuff, and the trine energy, smooth flowing. In fact, don't miss out on those trines in general, because we can take them for granted. Use them. So we have this Saturn that's the most stodgy, dependable planet out there, who's been trying to bring structure to woo-woo Pisces. And we got Uranus, expect the unexpected planet, that's been in Taurus, that's determined, and, you know, Earth, fixed sign, that you know, one of the slowest ones out there. So again, we've got these competing energies. And the way I've kind of finally decided to kind of integrate them is that when we do have new creative ideas or some new interesting challenge comes at us, keep in mind practicality and patience. Practicality and patience. I almost forgot there. Those are the two energies you want to take with you into these next few weeks here. And then, of course, like I said, Mars is going to come in and supercharge everything, and Venus will bring her fairy dust and sprinkle love and compassion and maybe a little money. And as I said, Mercury will go direct on April 7th at 4:06 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time at about 27 degrees. So I hope I see you in the extended version. Bye! Double dating, Saturn, Uranus, Mars, and Venus. But before we get into that in a lot of detail, let's talk about the equinox. How was yours? Let me know in the comments. Mine went pretty good, actually. It was only in the 20s. I'm here in Colorado, a mile high, and I looked it up for my international folks. That's -6 Celsius. Woo, that sounds even colder. But anyway, it was pretty good. So I went out, and I'm lucky I got a parking lot kind of kitty corner to me. I say I'm lucky because I do get fabulous sunrises, and, you know, it's nice to have the view. Anyway, so I was able to walk over there and get a clear shot. I mean, there were trees and stuff along the horizon, but I was able to really see the sun come up. So it was really, really cool. I'm glad I did it. So I hope you guys did too. And, you know, this video should be coming out around March 28th. And that's right in the middle of all this intense, you know, blue rays and cosmic rays supposedly coming down on us. So anyway, so you may have started feeling some changes. Maybe your dreams are getting a little crazier, or maybe you're having more synchronicities in your life. Maybe even just subtle things like, you know, I don't think I, you know, hate my sister that much anymore, you know, or something like that. I'm kidding, of course. But you may have found maybe some things are sort of dissolving and things seem a little easier and clearer. But don't worry, if you're not getting any sort of impulses or anything like that, you know, we've got huge shifts all going on in 2025, the big wobble I've told you about. And remember, Pluto went into Aquarius back in November. So think about that. That was a shift, right? And we can feel it now. And it should have reminded us of what was going on this summer when Pluto was in Aquarius earlier, and then it retrograded into Pisces, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I've gone over this all before. Anyway, but this, you know, those changes can be very, very, very subtle. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do at this point, I'm just going to put you on pause, and then I'm going to bring the camera down and look at the wheel. All right, here we go, the beautiful wheel. All right, so first off, with this Saturn in Pisces, I just want to remind you, Saturn takes 29 and a half, almost 30 years to get all the way around the wheel. Spends 2.5 years in each sign. So, and that's why we say when someone's, they're not really adults until they're in their 30s, because we want to get this Saturn one time around the whole wheel, which happens about 28 to 30 years old. And then we can consider them adults. They've been through one cycle of Saturns. Okay. Now Uranus, it's the next planet, but it's considered an outer planet. This is a transpersonal planet. Now it takes 84 years to get all the way around the wheel. Okay, and it's been 7 years in each sign. So you can see why this is kind of a big deal for these two guys to be sextiling each other at right now. Okay. And what a nice aspect a sextile is. Oh, and I should also say this doesn't happen very often. The next time, so Saturn's going to have to move, and you know, Uranus will be moving but much slower, but so Saturn's going to come up, catch up to Uranus, and then pass it on and sextile Uranus again, but not till 2040. Okay, so you can see why this doesn't happen very often. And then Saturn will go all the way around the whole wheel again till it gets back to 60 degrees from Uranus, conjunct it, pass it up, and keep on moving. So sextiles are, you know, considered opportunities. You can have recognition come in. Things just kind of fall into place for you. It's fun. It's a really good aspect for sure. And like I was saying, here we've got Saturn, conservative, dependable, our cosmic cop, always trying to build structures here in good old woo-woo mutable water Pisces. But in Pisces, Saturn can get a little isolated, because what Saturn is learning in Pisces is to serve others. So if you can't make that transition towards just serve me, to serving others, this is going to go a little bit rougher for you in general. And Pisces also rules our religions and spirituality. Saturn also shows us what we're afraid of, where we've been hurt, that kind of thing, and had restrictions. So Saturn in general is a very focused, very strong planet, but it does have its dark side. Remember, every sign, every planet has its light side and its dark side. Okay, now we've got Uranus down here at in Taurus at 25 degrees. And, you know, Taurus is how we make our money, like every day, that kind of sort of our day-to-day work day. So this could be, you know, Uranus is expect the unexpected, right? Money in, money out, money in, money out. So just be aware of that's a possibility. But Uranus in here, who's, you know, wanting to loosen old Taurus up here, we have changed our daily work activities. I mean, more and more people are working part-time jobs, and definitely since COVID, more and more people are working at home. I had a friend who he was looking for a job and wouldn't even consider a job unless the option to work at home was part of it. So, and just to let you know, the last time we had a sextile, it was the Depression in the 30s. So keep moving, Uranus. Get out of that Taurus, and Saturn, get out of that Pisces. You know, I don't want to go. I don't want a depression. Okay, and just to let you know, Saturn and Uranus conjuncted the last time in 1988, and will conjunct again. Saturn will make it up here in 2032. Okay, Now, oh, and I should also say, when we have an aspect like this, the slower planet is the stronger planet. So that's Uranus. But Saturn's a pretty tough cookie. So, and again, it's nice, smooth flowing energy. So we'll see how these two guys balance each other out here. Um, so just remember, you're going to get creative, great ideas down here in Uranus that challenge these old ideas. But Saturn's going to put the brakes on us so that we have that practicality and that patience to really see the potential of these brand new ideas that we're having. So that's kind of cool. Okay, now, and then like I said, we've got good old Mars down here at 25 degrees Cancer. Remember, everything is at 25 because they're sextiling and all that stuff. Their aspects are exact. So what Mars is doing here is, this is water cardinal, water mutable, but since they're both water, we got a trine here. And then water to earth, we've got a sextile here. So we've got, I mean, talk about smooth flowing energy, right? And with Mars here sextiling Uranus, let me tell you what, we're going to talk freedom for sure. As this, so that first weekend of April is going to be a little crazy. I'm already signed up to go to a protest on that Saturday, so we'll see what happens here. Oh, and I should always also say Mars in Cancer loves the family, wants to protect the family, but can be a little moody because Cancer is a very emotional sign. And you guys know I've been talking about this Mars-Saturn trine for about a month now. Get your work done, get your projects happening. And I think it is, I'm feeling a little better about that kind of stuff. Now, before I move on, I wanted to talk a little bit about the big picture. Now, as always, I've got to bring Pluto back into the storyline here, because Pluto's up here at like about 3 degrees Aquarius. And this also goes back to that wobble that I was telling you about, all these planets that we've got going into a sign. This is what I mean by the wobble. They're going into a sign, then they're retrograding back out, then they're going back in. So there's that. That's kind of what I'm referring to here. So Pluto just in 2024 did do its wobble between Capricorn and Aquarius, so it's fully into Aquarius now. But what I wanted to point out was, notice, you remember we always have fire and air works well together, and earth and water is very compatible. So right now we've got, Saturn in Pisces, water, Uranus in Taurus, earth, Mars in Cancer, water. But all of these planets, as part of the wobble, are going to be moving into different signs. Like Saturn is going to be moving into Aries in May. Mars moves into Leo just next month in April. And then Uranus moves into Gemini in July. So just think about it now. All these planets, air, this is going to be fire, this is going to be air, this is going to be fire. What that means is air and fire are a lot faster moving energy than earth and water. So I'm thinking once these planets, and don't forget Venus and Mercury are retrograde, but as these planets start moving into these fire and air signs, time is going to start speeding up on us. Remember, Neptune is also moving into Aries, right? We talked about that last week. I don't want to get, in case you guys haven't noticed, I really try to focus on maybe like 1 or 2 things each week, because I think that's why sometimes astrology can seem really hard, because it's like, you got this sextile, you got this planet, you got this house, you get too much stuff going on. So anyway, but just remember Neptune was right here, it's March 30th goes into Aries. Anyway, there's going to be this kind of general shift as these planets move into air and fire. Okay, and also with all these sextiles, remember our Star of David? That's an equilateral triangle. Would be like this. Okay, and then one like this. So just remember, we've got, it'd be like this, and then one like that, right? So that we've got that Star of David. We're going to have 4 points of that Star of David, so that's pretty exciting too. Okay, so let's see. So now we've got Venus. Remember, Venus is, like I said, she's coming up here. She's also at this, she actually conjuncts Saturn on April 7th. But first, she trines Mars on April 6th. So just, you know, she's going to bring some grace, some elegance. It's going to be, you know, going to give us a little bit of, you know, not so rough and tumble here with Taurus and Saturn. I mean, Mars and Saturn here. Then on the 7th, she does do this conjunction to Saturn. And again, this can even bring in some abundance, Pisces, some emotional abundance, that type of thing. Or maybe some money. Maybe we'll get our tax money back. I don't know. And then on April 8th, she's going to sextile Uranus, water to earth, okay? And hopefully this will start to give us a real sense of fulfillment, okay? And then on April 12th, Venus goes direct. So let me just show you this again right quick. Now, I showed you this before, but just to, this is that Venus-Mercury retrograde cycle. And then you're welcome to take a screenshot of this if you like. So this starts way back in February when Venus first went into Aries the first time. And then you see how she goes retrograde. Mercury went into Aries. Mercury went retrograde. Then there's our equinox, the sun. Venus then went, retrograde Venus went back into Pisces. Retrograde Mercury went back into Pisces. Here's on the 27th and 29th coming up here. And then on March 30th, there's our Neptune. And then you can see here on April 7th, Mercury goes direct. April 12th, Venus goes direct. And then here's where Mercury goes into Aries for, he's gone now. The same with Venus. She's gone on May 1st. Okay, so I thought you might find that kind of interesting to look at that again. Okay, so we do have Mercury here then coming up, you know, it's retrograde too, and goes direct on the 7th, but goes direct at 27 degrees. So all of this that I've been talking about all happened at the 25th degree. So Mercury doesn't make it back far enough to touch these 25. Remember, it's at 27. So it's got to get back 26, 25. But it's not going to get that far to touch those. So, but close enough, right? 2 degrees away, Mercury, the intellectual process, is certainly going to be throwing its 2 cents into all of this wonderful energy we got going on here. And let's see. Oh, and also with this Mercury retrograde, I really do hope you guys are paying attention. You know, how are you responding to Mercury retrograde? I mean, I know some people barely notice a Mercury retrograde. Some people, their car breaks down, their computer goes out on them, their camera goes on them, whatever, all sorts of stuff. So see what happens, and let me know in the comments about that too. I'd be really curious. And also give, as Mercury, and the same when Venus goes direct, give it a week or so for these planets to get moving and to pick up some speed and that kind of thing. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I want to do one more. I want to show you this. This is Uranus's cycle. And again, you're welcome to take a screenshot of this if you like. And again, I want to just show this wobble again. Now, this is starting back January 30th of 2025. That's when Mercury. Uranus went direct. Mercury's the lower octave of Uranus, so sometimes I mix them up. That's when the last time Uranus went direct. There you can see Uranus going into Gemini. And boy, the other thing I'll show you when I get done here that's exciting about this is its relationship to Pluto. Okay, September 6th is when Uranus goes retrograde at 1 degree, 28 minutes. So what, July, August, 2 months. It goes 1 degree in 28 minutes. Interesting. Oh, there's my bells. That's going to be a long one. Let me know if I should just talk through them or put you on pause when that happens. I'll just talk through it since I'm babbling at this point. Okay, then you'll see November 7th. That's when Uranus of this year, 2025, is when Uranus goes back into Taurus. Okay, then not till 2026 does Uranus go direct at 27 degrees Taurus, and then at the end of April in 2026, Uranus goes in for the next 7 years into Gemini. So pretty cool. So keep those dates in mind for sure. Oh, and so the thing I wanted to show you, when this Uranus goes into Gemini, air, Pluto's already sitting up here in air, right? That's going to be an air trine between Pluto and Uranus. And I don't know if you've ever driven a car that has turbocharge on it. I did once, scared the crap out of myself. Things are going to start happening. So when this, in July, I mean, well, things are happening, but they're going to take off turbocharge, I think. Anyway, okay, I think that's all I want to go over for today. And thank you very much. Oh, I did want to show you this too, Mars. I'll just leave that right there. So when Mars comes in, you can see what Mars is going to do. There's a tarot card for Mars. Okay. All right. There's always so much to talk about. Anyway, thank you guys. And just remember, from here to there, from there to here, funny things are everywhere. Bye. See you next time.